What's up, guys, and welcome back to my channel. Paddy Pimblett has responded to recent comments from Ilia about his potential return to the UFC in April or June. While Ilia suggested he could be back in action during that time frame, Paddy made it clear that a fight between them will not be happening in April, especially if he gets past Justin Gaethje this weekend. Speaking to TMZ Sports, Paddy shut down the idea completely. He said that Ilia will not be getting him back in April and insisted he is not fighting that month under any circumstances. Paddy explained that he was made to wait before, and now it is Ilia's turn to be patient. According to Paddy, April is simply not happening. Paddy added that he plans to eat, recover, and take some time before returning to the cage. He suggested that a fight could happen later in the year, mentioning June or July as more realistic options. For now, Paddy is focused on the task in front of him, and if he wins, he believes he has earned the right to set his own schedule and decide when he steps back into the octagon. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to help support the channel. Moving on to another news, Demetrious Johnson has shared his prediction for the upcoming clash at UFC 324, where Umar Nurmagomedov is set to face Deiveson Figueiredo. According to Demetrious, the fight is likely to come down to grappling exchanges. He believes Umar will look to take Figueiredo down and turn the contest into a battle on the mat, where positioning and control could decide the outcome. Demetrious acknowledged that Figueiredo is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and brings plenty of experience to the table. However, he pointed to Figueiredo's recent loss to Corey Sandhagen, where he suffered a serious knee injury during a 50-50 grappling position, as a reminder of how dangerous these scrambles can be. Taking everything into account, Demetrious said that if he had to choose, he would pick Umar Nurmagomedov to win. He also added that fighters from Umar's camp are known for training extremely hard. In his view, the only times they tend to lose are either when they face someone truly better or when the intense training leads to overworking and fatigue on fight night. Moving on to another news. Arman recently appeared on the One Night with Steiny podcast and addressed the criticism surrounding his decision to pull out of his title fight against Islam Makhachev last year. During the conversation, Steiny suggested that some people believed the injury was fake and even told Arman directly that it looked like he was afraid of Islam. Arman did not hold back in his response and firmly rejected that idea. Arman explained that the narrative never made sense to him, especially considering his history. He reminded everyone that he accepted a fight with Islam on short notice when he was just 22 years old, facing a far more experienced opponent who already had multiple fights in the UFC and the presence of Khabib in his corner. Arman said he was called only 2 or 3 weeks before that fight, still showed up, made weight, and went out there to compete in what many considered a very close matchup. He questioned how anyone could label him afraid after that. Arman pointed out that he has been preparing for a rematch with Islam for 6 or 7 years, building his career with 10 or 11 fights in the UFC, specifically to earn that opportunity. In his view, fear has never been part of the equation. Arman added that even if he had lost the title fight, he would have gone in confident, ready to put on a strong performance. He believes he would have shown a good fight, earned his money, and continued to grow his name in the sport. For him, the idea of backing out due to fear does not line up with the sacrifices and preparation he has made throughout his career. He made it clear that pulling out was not about doubt or nerves, but about circumstances people on the outside may never fully understand. Arman closed by stressing that his confidence in himself and his abilities has never wavered, and that he is still focused on proving exactly who he is inside the cage. Moving on to another news. Paddy Pimblett spoke this week about Michael Chandler and the reputation he believes follows him inside the cage. The two shared the octagon back in April, a fight Paddy ultimately won by third-round TKO. But despite the result, he made it clear there is no personal hatred. According to Paddy, Chandler is a proper nice fella outside the cage, respectful and friendly. Yet once the door closes, everything changes. Paddy explained that Chandler has long been known as a dirty fighter when the action heats up. He pointed to repeated punches to the back of the head, moments that often go unnoticed, but add up over the course of a fight. He also mentioned fingers being placed in opponents' mouths during scrambles, something he says Chandler previously attempted against Dustin Poirier, leading to Poirier biting him in response. Paddy added that eye pokes have also been part of Chandler's history. Speaking specifically about their own fight, Paddy recalled what he described as the most blatant low blow he has ever experienced. As he went to throw a kick, Chandler drove straight up the middle and caught him clean in the groin. Paddy said Chandler later played it off as a teep attempt, but in the moment, it felt anything but accidental. Despite all of that, Paddy stressed that he still respects Chandler as a person, even if he strongly questions his tactics when the fight is on, and insists discipline matters more than excuses when the referee is watching. Moving on to another news. Khamzat Chimaev recently found himself in a frustrating situation during training that ended with a knee injury and a moment of pure rage. The story came to light in a recent YouTube video when Georgian MMA personality Vco Gingelia sat down with former bantamweight champ Merab Velishvili and brought up an intriguing incident involving Khamzat and fellow Georgian Roman Dolitsa. Vaco explained that the story was originally shared with him by Guram Kutsa, who had refused to make it public at the time, but somehow it eventually reached Merab, who recounted the events in detail. Merab described the day at Extreme Couture, where he, Roman, and Khamzat were all training together. While he was sparring with someone else, he suddenly heard a loud scream of agony that immediately drew his attention. Looking over, he saw Khamzat in full rage mode, punching the wall, scanning the room furiously, and clearly frustrated. Meanwhile, Roman was walking around calmly, almost proudly, as if he had achieved something significant. The scene was tense and electric, with the energy in the gym completely shifted by what had just happened. A few minutes later, Merab noticed Khamzat sitting on the mat, his knee wrapped and covered in ice. It turned out that during sparring, Roman had caught Khamzat in a knee bar. Khamzat, refusing to tap out, tried to fight through the submission, but ultimately ended up injuring his knee in the process. Merab explained that Khamzat's knee was still an issue afterward, noting that he continues to wear a knee sleeve during training to manage the lingering effects of the injury. The incident highlights both Khamzat's intense competitive spirit and the risks fighters take when pushing their limits during training. While his refusal to tap shows his determination and toughness, it also served as a cautionary tale about managing intensity and respecting physical limits. The story also underscores the camaraderie and rivalries that naturally develop in training environments, where even teammates can challenge each other in ways that push everyone to their absolute limits. Khamzat's knee injury and his reaction to it remains a talking point among fans and fighters alike, demonstrating that even elite athletes are not immune to the consequences of high-risk training situations. Moving on to another news, Justin Gaethje has opened up about his knockout loss to Max Holloway and admitted that his mindset going into the fight was completely wrong. Gaethje revealed that he approached the matchup more as a spectacle and a fun fight, rather than fully respecting the danger that stood in front of him. That decision, according to Justin, played a major role in how the fight unfolded and ultimately led to him being knocked out in the final 10 seconds. Gaethje explained that he failed to tap into his primal competitive nature, something he believes is essential when facing an opponent as sharp and relentless as Max. He described the fight night as genuinely scary, admitting that when he usually reaches that primal place, he is no longer processing information or thinking clearly. This time, however, he felt stuck in between, never fully switching on in the way he normally does. One detail that stood out to Gaethje was how vividly he remembered Max's face during the fight. He said he has never remembered an opponent's face like that before, which only reinforced how unusual his mental state was that night. For him, that was a clear sign something was off, and that he had made a serious error long before the first punch was thrown. He went on to say that the mistake did not just happen inside the cage, but during the preparation as well. Gaethje admitted there were several mental lapses throughout his camp, moments where he failed to treat the fight with the seriousness it demanded. That accumulation of small errors led to what he now views as a huge mistake on fight night. Because of that, Justin made it clear that he wants another chance. He believes a rematch with Max Holloway would allow him to correct those errors, approach the fight with the proper mindset, and truly show what he is capable of when fully locked in. For Gaethje, the loss still burns, and the desire to run it back comes from knowing he did not give his best version that night. Moving on to another news, an update has emerged on Kayla Harrison after last week's alarming report about her withdrawal from the fight with Amanda Nunes. It was revealed that Kayla required serious neck surgery, a situation that her manager, Ali Abdelaziz, says could have been life-changing if left untreated. According to Ali, doctors warned that continuing without surgery carried a real risk of paralysis. Ali explained that this issue has been affecting Kayla for a long time. He said she has not been 100% healthy for the past 3 years, dating back to her PFL days. During that period, Kayla struggled to even lift her arm and tried multiple treatments, including injections, medication, and anti-inflammatory solutions, but nothing brought lasting relief. Eventually, the UFC flew her to New York for further evaluation. There, a doctor made it clear that surgery was immediately necessary. Ailey added that the positive news is that right after the surgery, all of Kayla's pain was gone, giving hope for a healthier future. Moving on to another news. Max Holloway has made it clear that he is not happy with Ariel Helwani after what he believes was an attempt to stir drama between him and Jorge Masvidal. The situation started when Jorge appeared on Ariel's show, and Ariel brought up Max's recent comments about the BMF title, playing a clip that quickly caught attention. In that clip, Max explained that the BMF belt, to him, represents being a true bad man. He said only a few fighters ever get the chance to fight for it, and suggested that before he won it, many people treated the belt like a laughingstock. According to Max, once he got his hands on it, everyone suddenly wanted to fight for it, which he found funny and entertaining. Jorge responded by saying he was somewhat offended by those comments. While making it clear that he respects Max as a fighter, Jorge said everyone is entitled to their own opinion. He praised Max's toughness and skill, calling him one of the best to ever do it, but also pushed back on the idea that the BMF title was ever a joke. Jorge argued that whether it was him or Nate Diaz fighting Max, it would never have been an easy night, and the skill level was always there. Jorge added that he would still love to fight Max one day, purely from a stylistic standpoint. He said he thinks Max is a great fighter, but also believes he himself is better. He admitted he did not fully understand what Max meant by calling the belt a laughingstock, but said he was not deeply offended. Jorge pointed out that Max has held multiple belts, so from that position, he can say things like he does not need another belt. He also laughed at the irony, saying now that Max has fought for the BMF belt, he clearly loves it and parades it around more than anything else. After seeing that interview, Max took issue with Ariel Helwani directly. On X, Max responded by saying his comments were being misrepresented. He clarified that he meant people were calling the BMF belt a laughingstock before, not that he personally believed it. Max then accused Ariel of being one of the people who pushed that narrative in the past, and said Ariel was now trying to start drama between him and Jorge. Max ended his response by telling Ariel to stop trying to instigate issues, adding a sharp line about Ariel being 43 years old and acting childish. The exchange quickly caught fire online, turning a discussion about the BMF belt into a very public clash between Max Holloway and one of MMA's most well-known media figures. Moving on to another news, Dustin Poirier shared his thoughts on the main event of UFC 324 and made it clear where his money would be going. While he admitted the matchup between Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett is a fun fight, Dustin said he is leaning heavily toward Justin and believes the fight ends inside the distance. In his view, Justin's experience at the highest level gives him a serious edge when things start getting difficult. Dustin explained that Justin has already been through multiple 25-minute fights and countless dogfights against elite competition. Because of that, he feels Justin is far more comfortable when the pace is brutal and the pressure keeps building. According to Dustin, Paddy could struggle to stop Justin on the feet, especially given the power and durability Justin brings into every exchange. He also expressed doubt about Paddy's ability to take Justin down and control him on the mat, which could force Paddy into extended striking battles. Dustin went on to say that unless Paddy can stay extremely disciplined for the full 25 minutes, the fight could quickly slip away from him. That means staying at distance, picking shots carefully, and avoiding unnecessary exchanges. The problem, as Dustin sees it, is that Justin is a much bigger puncher and is always willing to put himself in danger just to land one clean shot. Over the course of 5 rounds, that kind of pressure is incredibly hard to avoid. When asked how he ultimately sees the fight playing out, Dustin didn't hesitate. He said he believes Justin stops Paddy, whether by knockout or another form of stoppage. He also pointed out that Justin is currently the betting underdog, which surprised him given the matchup. Even so, Dustin sounded confident in his read of the fight and admitted he plans to get involved from a betting perspective. He added that he does not bet all the time, but this is one of those fights where he feels strongly enough to put money down. In the end, Dustin's prediction was clear: Justin Gaethje by stoppage, based on experience, power, and the relentless style that makes it so difficult for opponents to survive over 5 hard rounds. Moving on to another news. Kamaru Usman is once again calling for a massive welterweight showdown with Islam Makhachev and believes the timing could not be better. Speaking on the latest episode of the Pound for Pound podcast alongside Henry Cejudo, the former champion laid out his case with confidence, saying this is the biggest fight the division can make right now. Usman made it clear he is manifesting a huge year ahead and feels both he and Islam want the same thing. At 38 years old, Kamaru is coming off a solid win over Joaquin Buckley, which he views as proof that he is still very much a top-level contender. Despite a rough stretch before that victory, Usman pointed to his resume as the deciding factor. A former champion with a record number of title defenses at 170 pounds, he believes his name still carries unmatched weight in the division. In his eyes, it is a true blockbuster, the pound-for-pound king versus the man who dominated the UFC for years. Usman stressed that his comments were not meant as a slight toward the new generation. He showed respect to rising contenders like Michael Morales and Carlos Pratis, praising them for the work they are putting in. However, he doubled down on the idea that if the UFC wants the highest stakes, biggest draw, and most meaningful matchup in this new Paramount era, then Islam Makhachev versus Kamaru Usman is the fight to make. During the same discussion, Henry Cejudo weighed in on the current welterweight landscape and addressed controversies surrounding Michael Morales' record. Cejudo argued that a loss, which was later removed from Morales' record, should actually count as a defeat. According to Henry, clear footage showed Morales getting submitted, and he believes the result should stand rather than be erased. Usman then spoke directly about his vision for the future. He said, 2026 is a year he is fully focused on, believing it can be a big one for him and for the sport. He repeated that he thinks Islam wants the matchup as well, and now it is simply up to the company to make it happen. For Usman, this is not about ego, but about delivering the biggest possible fight to the fans. He closed by expressing excitement for what lies ahead, mentioning the upcoming changes tied to the Paramount deal and how close everything feels. With the UFC entering a new era and major decisions looming, Kamaru Usman remains convinced that his clash with Islam Makhachev is the fight that defines the division.